I'm E.D. Lewis, and welcome back to my channel for another Nocturnal review. I know you can't see the window, but it's getting dark, so, it's almost dark. So we're doing another Nocturnal review, and before I get started, please like me on Instagram and Twitter, or follow me, rather, sorry. Also, you can find me on Wattpad. You can read some of my writings on there, including the first two chapters of my book, The Curse of Ridge House, a gothic novel. And also, if you'd like to read it in its entirety, you can find it on Amazon in both Kindle edition and paperback. The covers are slightly different, but, Also, you can also find another writing of mine available on Amazon, which, by the way, Curse of Ridge House is $2.99 for Kindle edition. Paperback's a little bit more. I have a an erotic short story, called Alone with the Professor. And it's an erotic short story, so if you're interested in that, please check it out. It is quite steamy, so, it's only 99 cents and it's available only on Kindle on Amazon. You can also visit my author page, which is also on Amazon, and please visit and like the official Facebook page for my book, The Curse of Ridge House. So, I hope everyone is doing well and is staying safe and social distancing and wearing their masks, which you should be doing. I know it's your right to, not do so, but, you really should, and I'm not going to hark on that because people don't like being told that, but, it's a good idea, and it will help protect you and others, protect others, protect yourself, it's for a good reason. That's all I'm going to say. So, forgive me for that. So this time around, I'm going to be doing a book review. What did I do last time? Oh, yes, I did Castle Cliff, which was, didn't get many viewership, which I didn't figure it would. But it's a, a good little gothic novel, if you want to check that out. But this is a little more mainstream in many ways. It is unfortunately out of print, but you can find it on Amazon to purchase, and I'm sure eBay has some, varying prices, or you could probably find it in some used bookstores. My copy's a little beat up. We're doing another Dark Shadows review. So, this is the book, Dark Shadows, Dreams of the Dark, by Stephen Mark Rainey and Elizabeth Massie, with an introduction by Laura Parker. This is the second book that was published by HarperCollins in the 1990s, part of what was meant to be part of a ongoing Dark Shadows book series. Unfortunately, is the second and last one that they published, because they, apparently, according to my notes here, they sold their tie-in division, and so they, so it didn't happen. But Tor Books picked up Dark Shadows, and they did the Salem, the Salem branch, and then they republished Angelique's Descent, the first in HarperCollins' series. And Laura Parker has written 2 more books, and I'm hoping she'll write a third, even though I have not completed all her books yet. Well, a third sequel, that is, because she's written 3 already. No, 4, sorry. Wait. I'm hoping she'll write a 4th sequel. I am so sorry. She's written 4 books already in the Dark Shadow series. Anyway, so this was published in 1999. It is a gothic horror and gothic romance story. It's kind of a lengthy one, kind of like Angelique's Descent was kind of lengthy. It's like 300 some pages. Almost 400 pages long. It's kind of a long one. It takes place, if you want to put it in the chronology of the TV series from 1966 through 1971. It takes place after Victoria Winters has returned from her journey to 1795. If you've seen the series, you know what I'm talking about. But before she finds the portrait of Angelique, and before Barnabas starts, putting the bite on her, feeding on her and planning to run away with her and get married, so she would have become the next Josette, very much, if you know what I'm talking about. So, There are some problems with this book, and I will get to that after I tell you what the book's kind of about, my little synopsis I wrote. So Victoria is readjusting, I really should say, I wrote down readjusting to life after her ordeal in the past, which I just mentioned, as well as the loss of her fiancé, Bert Devland. But she finds herself strangely terrified of her, close friend Barnabas Collins. For reasons that she doesn't understand. Of course, we might kind of understand since, what she experienced in the past, and we know, of course, that Barnabas is a vampire, whereas she does not. Although she seemed to kind of figure it out in 1795, and then she kind of forgot. But, she forgot a lot of things. Her life is kept busy by her duties as the Collins governess to young David, and her friend Carolyn Collins Stoddard. And of course Carolyn, she's very much that, she wants to keep up the go out and having fun and being the typical spoiled rich girl, although she's very unhappy in Collinsport, so. She's very much, like, Nancy Barrett, who played Carolyn, said that the song that she kind of picked to describe Carolyn is Cyndi Lauper's song, Girls Just Want to Have Fun. That's very much Carolyn. I agree with Nancy Barrett wholeheartedly there, so. I got off track there, but it was a good little note, I thought. So one night, Carolyn is very insistent on taking Victoria with her out drinking. She wants to go have fun, so they go to the Blue Whale, to the local bar, where they end up meeting a mysterious and attractive man by the name of Thomas Rathburn. From what I remember, because it's been a while since I've read this, I believe he was a Southerner. I think he was part of the Confederates, which I think I just gave away something I was going to mention a little bit later, but in just a few sentences, but whatever. So pretend I didn't say that. He and Victoria develop a friendship and romantic relationship with each other, but little does she know that Thomas has a deadly secret. He is a vampire turned during the Civil War, and I think, like I said, I think he was a Southerner, part of the Confederacy, I think, anyway. But anyway, who was guided to Collinsport by visions of a mysterious nature. His arrival, his visions, and his relationship with Victoria leads to a dangerous rivalry with Barnabas Collins. So that's kind of a little preview about what the book's about without giving away too much information. There are some great scenes in there. It's kind of the introduction is really cool. And also when we see the scene where he becomes a vampire and stuff, we learn, exactly his backstory. So now I'm going to talk about the continuity problem. So of course this book is not canon. None of the books are canon. And there's even problems with Laura Parker's book, but Laura Parker's books are good. It's just that they're not part of the official canon, and that's understandable. Not that Dark Shadows itself stuck to its own canon very well, because it even has discrepancies in the show, but that's because of, as the show developed, things changed, and you see that a lot in TV shows as they go on. And they kind of further build up and create their own world, or own worlds. But anyway, the problems are, Dr. Julia Hoffman, who, if you remember, was curing Barnabas, is missing. She's not even mentioned, from what I remember. Willie shouldn't be present at this time, because this takes place, let's see, in 1967, they had the seance. And then once we returned back to the present after Vicky's trip to the past, it's suddenly 1968, so there's a little bit of a time change there. So I guess this takes place in 1968 or late 1967, because it takes place in, October, which is when it was published, from what I understand. Because there's all kinds of references to Halloween, and I think the conclusion or the big, not conclusion, but the climax happens on Halloween night. So, and David is wanting to be Dracula for Halloween. But the thing about Willie is, during this time, Willie wasn't present in Collinsport at all. He was in the mental institution. He was in Windcliff, because they believe that he was the one who kidnapped and held Maggie Evans hostage when it was really Barnabas. Which, if you haven't seen the show or seen that far into the show, I'm sorry, I just spoiled that for you. This next thing I'm going to mention is not so much of a problem. I mean, since this book was written after the show, it can make those kind of references, but Tom Jennings makes an early appearance. They see him at the bar, and of course Tom didn't come into it until after the time this takes place, although they'd mentioned, of course, Tom, he's been there, even though he was created at the time in 1968, so, I mean, that's not really much of a problem. And the last problem that I had, and I'm sure there's others, because the book does kind of somewhat set up things that happen later on. Millicent Collins' name on the tombstone when they're in Eagle Hill Cemetery, it says Millicent Collins Forbes. It should not say that because Joshua had her marriage, amended from the Collins history, and of course on her tombstone it's not going to say Millicent Collins Forbes. It's going to say Millicent Collins. So, that's what I have to say about that. But rather than that, I enjoyed the book immensely. I read some of the reviews on it on Goodreads. There's not that many on there. And they said that it's kind of, the characterizations fall kind of flat. But some thought that the pace was very reminiscent of the show, which, I mean, it's kind of a long book. So yeah, it can do that pace. And I feel like even Angelique's Descent kind of has that same pace. So it kind of fits with the show. But, I mean, Rathbun's character is pretty good. And Victoria is pretty good. We kind of see more into her mind. But there is a very interesting scene that I can't really tell you about that's toward the ending of the book. It's like almost the last thing that happens. And it has to do very much with Victoria. And so I can't really say much without giving that away. But, like I said, there's some great scenes in this book. But it does go along very much with kind of Laura Parker's books and stuff. Vividly imagined, grippingly written is what it says on the back of the book. Each Dark Shadows novel is filled with the eroticism, supernatural suspense, and spellbinding storytelling that has made this classic daytime serial a timeless hit. It really does. And it's immensely different, just like Angelique's Descent and the Salem Branch, from the earlier Dark Shadows books, which I hope to review at some point. It's just getting to them. And I've only read 10 of them. So total books, Dark Shadows I've read, 10, 13. I've only read like 13 Dark Shadows novels. And unless you include the Hawks Harbor book by S.E. Hinton, the author of The Outsiders, which I plan on doing a review on that too. That was originally supposed to be a Dark Shadows book too. But it was rejected. So I guess if you count that, I've read 14. So. Anyway, if you get the chance, it may be a little pricey. My copy's obviously beat up and I've done repairs to it. I think it was slightly worn out when I got it. It was a used copy then, because when I read this in high school, it was already out of print. It was out of print before I ever got into Dark Shadows, actually. So, but it's very good. I think, of course, doesn't fit with the continuity, just like Laura Parker's books, but they're all very entertaining. So I would highly recommend this if you are a Dark Shadows fan and you'd like to collect Dark Shadows books. This one's a good one to collect. I would suggest reading it because it's a very entertaining story. It has great insights, even though it's not canon at all. And, it's just fun. Fun gothic horror, gothic romance, fun horror, romantic suspense. So check it out. Like I said, you can buy it on Amazon. I'm sure eBay has it. I'm sure, some bookstores may even have old copies, So check it out. that's all I've got for you this evening. So I hope you all have a good evening. I hope you're all being safe. And remember, be kind and considerate to other people. Wear your mask. Social distance. Remember that Black Lives Matter. And, don't be discriminatory to other people. Be understanding. And, we're in this together. Through all the turmoil, we are in this together. You just have to be part of it. Part of the togetherness, I mean. So, have a good night, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.